Thank goodness you're here. The forces of He Who Must Not Be Named are gathering, and it's up to you to save the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle from the OP games. This play-along tutorial is designed for you to play along as you learn the rules, so I invite you to start your first game right now. There's also a full sample turn at the end of this video that you're welcome to watch if you like. Let's start with an Alohomora spell to open up your box, and we'll start gathering the game pieces inside. You should have a board, a rulebook, 4 player boards, a stack of card organizers, which you can leave in the box for now, a bag of cardboard tokens, another bag of metal tokens, and lastly, 7 boxes labeled games 1 through 7. For the time being, you should open the box labeled game 1 and leave the other 6 in the main box. There will be moments in this tutorial when I suggest that you pause the video while you get caught up. This is one of those moments, so let's pause until you've confirmed that you have all of these components. Alright, let's get your game set up. Let's start with boards and tokens. Place the main board in the center of the table within reach of all players. Then, each player should take 1 player board and place 1 health tracker in the 10 space of their health area. Next, create stacks of villain control tokens, attack tokens, and influence tokens within reach. Now this is a deck building game, so we're going to need some cards. In the Game 1 box, you'll have found many cards divided into sleeves, most of which have designated spaces on the main board. Starting in the top left, you should place the 2 location cards on the location space. In Game 1, the Mirror of Erised will be on the bottom, and Diagon Alley on top of it. Below the locations is the villain space. Shuffle your 3 villain cards and place the face-down stack on this space. Then, reveal 1 villain card and place it in one of your 3 active villain spaces below. Back at the top of the board is the Dark Arts space. Shuffle your squared Dark Arts cards and place the stack on this space. And finally, we'll create our Hogwarts area. Shuffle your Hogwarts cards, making certain to leave out the character starting cards, and place the stack on the designated space. Then reveal 6 Hogwarts cards and place them on the 6 spaces below. This is another good time to pause until your board is set up as shown here. Each player will also start with cards of their own. First, you'll need to select who will play which character from among our 4 heroes: Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville. This is normally one of the most time-consuming parts of the game for my play groups, so I suggest yet another pause while you decide who's who. Once your character choices are made, each player should take the hero card for their chosen character, as well as the 10 cards labeled as their starting cards. Shuffle your 10 cards and place them in the space to the left of your player board, labeled Draw. Then draw the top 5 cards in your deck. This is your starting hand. Finally, each player should also take 1 turn order card to reference during the game. Okay, last pause while you finish setup. And we're off! Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is a cooperative deck-building game in which you and your fellow players are going to team up to defeat a series of villains before those villains can take control of key locations. In order to do this, you'll need to acquire powerful cards from the Hogwarts deck to increase the power of your own deck. But the villains and He Who Must Not Be Named won't make it easy on you. Dark Arts events and villain abilities will make it harder for you to accrue resources, and could even leave your hero stunned for a turn. The most epic part of this game is the unlockable content and growing collection of cards. If you manage to defeat all the villains, you'll have won Game 1 and unlocked the content for Game 2, then Game 3 and so on, all the way till your final confrontation with Voldemort in Game 7. Each new box introduces new Hogwarts cards and occasionally hero abilities, alongside more cruel and dastardly villain and Dark Arts cards. You'll even find some game components that the rulebook makes no mention of, and that's why each of these boxes has its own add-on rules insert to use during setup, which can be stored at the back of your rulebook. Alright, let's begin the game, shall we? Choose a hero to go first. Every turn in this game consists of the same 4 steps, and every hero will do the same 4 on each of their turns. The way I remember it is, bad stuff first, good stuff second. First player, let's begin. Bad stuff number 1 is to reveal Dark Arts events. Check your current top location card. It will tell you how many Dark Arts cards to reveal on your turn. One at a time, reveal Dark Arts cards and resolve their effects. These cards will inflict various unfavorable effects on either the active player, that is, the player whose turn it is, or on all players simultaneously. On your first turn, you'll reveal one Dark Arts card, as stated on Diagon Alley. Draw that card now and resolve its effect. Let's hit pause while you do so. Once you've dealt with the Dark Arts for your turn, bad stuff number 2 happens. All of the active villains activate. In Game 1, you will always have only one active villain. Villain cards are interesting. Some have abilities that activate at this step of the game. For instance, a villain ability that reads, "Active player loses 1 health," is a once per turn ability that will happen once during the villain's step. Other villain abilities are always active, and often have reaction effects to certain criteria being met, such as each time a Dark Arts event or villain causes a hero to discard a card, that hero also loses 1 health. This can happen during any step of a turn, and could happen multiple times in a single turn, or not at all. Take a look at your villain's ability now. It's possible their ability would have triggered a reaction to your Dark Arts event, in which case you should resolve it now. Or that their ability will occur now during the villain's step. It's also possible that nothing happens. If you need to, let's pause while you get this step taken care of. After the villains have had their chance to act, it's finally time for the good stuff. Step 3 of the turn is where the active player gets to play cards and take actions. Playing cards is the most important thing you can do in this game. Each card in your hand is free to play, and will generate various effects and resources, such as influence, attack power, health, or additional cards. Unlike many card games, there is no strategy in deciding whether or not to play a card. In fact, at the end of your turn, you must discard any cards in your hand that went unplayed. So definitely play all of your cards if you're able. That said, you will sometimes need to make decisions about the best order in which to play your cards. Also in Step 3, you can purchase new Hogwarts cards with influence, and assign attack tokens to damage villains. You may purchase any face-up Hogwarts card by discarding its cost in influence tokens. Place the purchased card in your discard pile. Immobilis. Wait a minute, I have to put my new card in the discard pile? What's the point of that? It's actually pretty cool. Every new card you buy will become a powerful future ability for you to find in your deck once your discard has been shuffled back in. When does that happen? When your draw pile is empty but you need to draw a new card, you'll shuffle your discard pile to form a new deck. Because you start with 10 cards, it should only be a couple of turns before you start shuffling in your shiny new spells, items, and allies. Okay, finite. Let's continue. To assign attack tokens that you've already acquired to a villain, simply move them from your supply to the specified area beneath the villain you wish to attack. After doing this, if the total number of attack tokens on that villain equals their health, you immediately defeat them and gain the reward listed. Resolve their rewards, return all attack tokens on them to the general supply, then move the defeated villain to the villain discard pile. You'll replace the defeated villain in Step 4. For now, feel free to pause while our first player finishes their Step 3 by playing cards, buying Hogwarts cards, and assigning any attack tokens they may have. When you've done all you can do for the turn, you'll move on to Step 4, which is all about cleanup. The 6 parts of cleanup are: 1. Check whether the villains have taken control of the location. We'll talk about this more after everyone has played their first turn. 2nd, replace any defeated villains with the top card in the villain deck. 3rd, refill any empty Hogwarts card spaces with the top card from the Hogwarts deck. Then place all of your played and unplayed cards from your hand into your discard pile. Purchased cards should already be there. Discard any of your unused influence and attack tokens. This only affects the active player. Other players who have gained tokens on other players' turns can keep them until their turn arrives. And lastly, draw a new hand of 5 cards. You'll only shuffle your discard pile to form a fresh deck when you need to draw or reveal a card, not if your deck is simply empty. When Step 4 is complete, then the next player, in clockwise order, takes their turn. Phew, that was a lot of information to squeeze into one turn. Here's a quick review of the parts of a turn, which you can also find on the reference card in front of you. In a minute, we'll talk about villain location control and what happens when a hero's health reaches 0, but right now is a great time for everyone to take their first turn. I'll show a full example turn at the very end of this video if you find that you have outstanding questions. For now, I suggest pausing the video while everyone takes a shot at their first turn. So your first round of play is complete. Everyone should have taken one turn. Hopefully you were able to buy a new card and add it to your discard, but it's okay if you couldn't. Perhaps there is a little bit of attack power in play, and everyone should have redrawn a new hand of 5 cards as soon as their turn ended. Now some questions will start to arise. First, what happens when a hero's health reaches 0? Well, you'll become stunned. Luckily, your hero will never be permanently removed in this game, but that doesn't mean being stunned is a nice experience. As punishment for becoming temporarily defeated, you must do the following steps, which are also listed at the bottom of your player board. Discard all of your tokens, discard half of the cards in your hand rounded down, and add 1 villain control token to the location. A stunned player's health will return to a full 10 at the end of the current player's turn. It is worth noting that you'll often become stunned on other players' turns, either as a result of dark arts events or villain abilities. The next thing we should discuss is location control. Whenever a dark arts event, villain ability, or heroes becoming stunned tells you to add a villain control token to the location, place 1 control token from the supply to the leftmost empty space on the current location. If each token space is covered at the end of any hero's turn, you've lost control of that location. Remove all the control tokens and the location card to reveal the next location. However, control tokens can be removed through the use of your cards or as villain rewards. If the current location fills up, you'll actually still have until the end of the current player's turn to try to remove it and save the location, because villain control is only checked at the end of the turn in step 4. Additionally, once a location is filled, additional control tokens cannot be added beyond the number of available spaces, so that part is nice. Okay, you're ready to play through your first game of Hogwarts Battle. Remember, you win if you can defeat all 3 of the villains in your villain stack before you've lost control of both locations. If a hero defeats a villain on the same turn that the location would be captured, you still win, because villain defeats are immediate, while location control is only checked at the end of the current turn. You can now either jump in and play, or keep watching for an example turn from later in Game 1. Either way, thanks for watching, and Felix Felicis in your first quest. Welcome back to this sample turn for Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. In the current state of things, Hermione has just finished her turn, and play is passed on to me, Neville. Now you can see I'm starting my turn with 6 health due to the events that have unfolded so far, and I also have 1 influence token to begin. That's thanks to a card played by Hermione on her last turn, where she chose to give all heroes 1 influence rather than take 2 herself. Very selfless. Let me take you through the state of things over the rest of the board. We're still on location 1, Diagon Alley, so that's good. However, it's got 3 location control tokens on it and has only 1 more to go before the villains have taken it over. Draco is our current villain for the game. He says every time a token is added to the location, the active hero loses 2 health, and he currently has 4 damage on him of the 6 health he has total. You can see we've already defeated Crabbe and Goyle, and have 1 villain remaining to go in the villain deck on the left. And here's our current Hogwarts display. Alright, so, as my turn begins, bad stuff happens first, so let's dive right in and see what that bad stuff is. First I'll check our location, which says that we are still revealing 1 Dark Arts event per turn, no more than that. So I'll go ahead and reveal my Dark Arts event for the turn. I got He Who Must Not Be Named, which means I have to add 1 token to the location, which I feel like might be pretty bad for us in this case. So I'm going to add that 1 token, which puts us at our 4 max. However, that location will not be lost until the end of my turn, so there might be something I can do about it. Draco will react to that. Every time a token is added to that location, the active hero loses 2 health. So I'm going to have to go and lose 2, down to 4 health on my board. Step 2 is going to be the villain phase. However, Draco has no villain phase ability. He only reacts to tokens being added to the location. So we're going to go ahead and not do anything in step 2 in this case, and move right on to step 3, which means it's my turn to act. Put you down for a second here, and we'll look at my hand for the turn, as I'll be playing cards hopefully spending that influence I've got along with some others, and doing whatever else I can to save the day. So, the cards I have in hand, I drew 3 Alohamoras, which will get me an influence apiece. One of my good cards, Rubius Hagrid, who will give me an attack power, as well as health to every hero, Hermione and myself, and then a Reparo, which gives me the option to either gain 2 influence or draw a card. So as I look at the board, I know that I want to hopefully try and save that location by removing a token from it. None of my cards are going to let me do that. We are lucky in that Draco will let me do that. His reward for defeating him is to remove 1 token from the location. He has 2 remaining damage before he's defeated, and unfortunately my hand only contains 1 attack power on Rubius Hagrid at the moment, so I think that makes my choice clear as to what I'll be doing with my Reparo. I think I'll draw a card and hope to get lucky and find some attack power in that deck to be able to do that damage. So why don't we play that card first, in step 3. I'll play Reparo, and I'll choose to draw a card with it. And we've got very lucky, this is Trevor. Trevor lets us choose to either gain a attack power or gain 2 health. I'm fairly hurt at the moment, so no one could blame me, I don't think, for gaining the health, but I'd like to go on the aggressive path here and save the location by defeating Draco, so I will play Trevor right away, and I will gain a attack power from him. Place that right there. Why don't we play Hagrid right away? He can actually help heal me a little bit. He's going to gain us an attack power and each hero 1 health. So I'll grab 1 more attack power, heal myself for 1. I'll heal Hermione for 1 as well over here. And then I could actually carry out parts of my turn that I want to right now. Why don't we do that? We're part way through step 3 still, and I'm going to assign my attack power to Draco, who now has 6 damage of his 6 health. So he's going to be defeated right now. That means we're going to carry out his reward, remove 1 token from the location, so that location will not be lost this turn. That's great. And that is all for his reward, so we're going to put him on the defeated villains deck. We'll get a new villain in step 4, not yet, and we will remove all these attack tokens back to the pool. Alright, moving right along with my turn. I've already played these cards. The only cards remaining in my hand are 3 Alohamoras, which I'll just play simultaneously to gain 3 influence and add those to my player board. That puts me at a total of 4 influence, and I think the only thing remaining for me to do now in step 3 is to make a purchase. So I have 4 to spend. You can see there are various options I have. I could buy as many cards as I want as long as the total is 4 or less. So that gives me a few options here, and why don't we go with this Lumos? It's exactly 4, and it makes it so that when I play it, all heroes draw a card. That sounds great to me. We'll add that straight into my discard pile as we spend the 4 influence to purchase it. And I believe that is the end of step 3. So we'll move on to cleanup and step 4. The first thing we'll check in cleanup is our location. If our location was full, we'd move on to the next, but we removed that token, so that location will remain. The villains do not take it yet. We do have an empty spot where there had been a villain, so we're going to fill that spot off of the top of the villain deck now. Quirrell shows up. He's our last villain for game 1. Next thing we'll check is the Hogwarts display. If there are any empty spots here, we'll refill them, so we'll do that now. And that's yet another Reparo that's come out. That card served us well. I'll now place all of my cards, played or unplayed, from this turn into the discard to join that card that I purchased. And if I had any tokens left, attack or influence, those would be discarded right now, so it's a good thing we used all of those up. Last thing we're going to do is draw a new hand of 5 cards. So my deck currently contains 2 cards. I'll draw those 2, and I still need to draw more, so how I will do that is I will shuffle my discard, it will become my deck, and we'll start drawing off the top of there as well. I immediately got that Lumos, great for me, as well as a Reparo again, and Trevor's back, so this hand is looking good. We will have a great next turn after Hermione takes her next one. That's the end of the turn. Thanks for watching.